feel like it's going to your right now. So just cautious.
Over to the side.
There we go.
Alright, Dave, let's go ahead and hop in. Okay. Looks like Brooks pulling fast on the van, so kind of what we're doing too. Huh? Well, here in a second, yeah, but make sure that I don't go back into the truck.
Troy's leaving now, so the easiest way to do that is to even push us to the side, because you won't be strong enough to, but it will fly out.
tried to check my aircraft, but I didn't think anybody's okay, but make sure. Oh shit, water.
Miss Piper?
Could you look in the cooler and grab us a couple bottles of water? Thank you, sweetie.
It's in the back of the van.
Big bottle. I like having only one red line. That's nice. Yeah. Let's see here. The airport's reporting that.
Breeze Tower, hot air 226 room.
Really,
I
like.
Security, what's up?
This is super simple to change the altimeter setting. It's just up and down. Right, that's it. Right, got our waters.
Yeah, overall, I think the usability of the digital is really nice.
Yeah.
Space Tower, this is hot air Balloon 390 Romeo Romeo.
It's got under here.
Balloon 390 Romeo Romeo, we're the second of 7 to launch West Joe.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.
Alright, so my basic goal was to, based on what the pieballs are doing, and I don't want to be over the airport for very long. Okay. So I was thinking that we'd go ahead and get up and see if we can't get that eastbound wind. Okay. Get over the airport, start looking at options, you know, out the 94-24 area. Okay. Too far north. So just gonna kind of keep climbing.
Yeah, it looks like Brooks already got it. Yep, got the turn. Yep. Well, they really got that all cleaned up, haven't they, dude?
Springs Tower. This is Hot Air Balloon November 74008.
7408, Springs Tower, 11203, altimeter 30.
008, copy that. Third of 3 balloons. Colors are orange and yellow today.
Okay.
Yeah, he's had it for years, but Kent's balloon sure looks nice. It does. I don't think it's got very many hours on it, but oh, temperature 250. Oh, that's surprising.
Channel 3. He asked what channel we were in. And then you say, temperature 250, and it registers that.
Oh, funny.
250 is where that starts being.
Like a pretty major construction site out there. I don't know what that is.
It does, and that's where Troy landed the other day, where they built him a road.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. From this perspective on the right hand corner at the top.
Where's that flashing light?
I have no idea.
And there's a similar one right here in Peterson. Sure is. Check it NORAD. They're not flashing this morning. They were all lit up this morning though, weren't they? Didn't notice. Yeah, they had all the lights on.
Do they not normally?
It's not every day, you know.
To slow our western.
Yeah, I feel like we're sort of right at the boundary here. What do we got? 5 knots? Cherry's coming up behind us.
Yeah, the really nice orange and yellow instrument thing that you guys have made looks great for the 3040. It really swallows that. Just felt like I was like, maybe if I maybe making a new one, but 2 bands instead of 4 bands.
Right.
Because I was thinking, oh well, I could put 2. No, it's right in the middle. So I was like, maybe I'll put something else on it, you know, a lock at the ear or something. It's right in the middle. Gotcha. So.
And so I have to believe they've. One of the things I like like about that cover is that when you're done, you wrap it up and it protects the
I do.
face of the instrument.
And so, he's on 3 instead of 4. When I'm done with it, I do wrap this around it, but then I've been carrying it in my blue case.
Right. I think the box is pretty stable.
Headache was like, I see you've got that. He's like, first thing you need to do is get a screen protector. Okay. Probably right, but... Well, that's a big construction area too.
It is. This one is, that's the church and the college, the Nazarene College.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know that they own all that land, but I think they do. And they've built up these retaining walls. Those are new because it used to just slope off.
Oh yeah.
So they built the retaining walls and leveled it all. I flew somebody from there years ago, and they had talked about the idea that they'd always wanted to build sort of apartments that they could use as dorms for their students.
Right. They were doing that like little Christmas drive-through.
I
They
don't
set
know.
up Christmas, like a little Christmas lights
Right.
thing, and you drive through it.
Making sure I can hear you.
I feel like it was on that.
Okay, I feel like we've turned.
Yes.
And Troy's jumping up.
He's going faster.
Faster than us, yeah.
I feel like it, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's accelerating on us, yeah.
790 member Springs Town 1303 runway 179, clear touching the East Crosswind. Balloons will be approaching on 179.
So we just called him in the 17 right. It's just so unusual to hear that runway called in the morning. It always gets my attention. Yeah, we're rolling now, aren't we? With us going opposite directions, it looks like he's really moving, doesn't it? How long would you anticipate that 120 ground wind to hang around?
2-0. They're not very long.
Troy's track has got quite a bit of stuff, like trade zone kind of stuff. Yeah, on a day like today, it's hard to predict when the ground wind will change because the cloud layer will prevent the heating, which is slow down the mixing for sure. But it started out pretty warm. So, you know, it's hard to predict, but lost Terry. Do you know where he went?
He's pretty much
Right
here.
here.
Okay.
Gotcha. I'm a little bit curious that we're not seeing Dave inflated.
Did see Chris show up, so.
In this kind of a situation, I'm typically comfortable sort of creeping up, like something on the order of 200 feet a minute. Because that's plenty slow for him to notice and get out of the way. If he's he might already be clear, we just don't see it.
Rotors going and helicopter there.
Yeah. I feel like there's a little bit more traffic than normal today. Is that algae on Lake Prospect? Prospect Lake?
Right.
Yeah.
Must be. It's not windy enough to be doing it in space, so that's not wind or
Right.
Yep.
So what's your fuel strategy?
So I've been using one tank at a time, and it seems because of current inflation, these tanks. I use these because this is where the already call the bottom of the fuel tank, depending on where we thought so. And these are pointing up, so I mean it typically works just fine, but just out of good practice. And in order that way, with the this one being last. Stayed on 2 and stayed off of Rainbow, and they all switched to 3.
The only downside of that strategy of working on that way is you eventually exhaust this side of fuel,
Yes.
and then you're effectively down to one burner.
Right.
You don't lose any power because it's obviously a single burner,
Right.
but you do
But in an
lose
emergency
some
or
sense of an
something.
emergency, reliability, that kind of thing.
Right.
The other thing that you could address is, let's say you're going in for a landing and you're
Grab the wrong one.
yeah, you grab the wrong one and it's empty.
I have thought about that piece of it.
So what do you suggest
better? Thinking one thing at a time. 1, 2,
Yeah,
3, 4.
I think that's probably what I
It's an easy fix.
Yeah, and I would think it would be rare for you to use all 4.
Right.
So I think that's fine. No, it's slowed down here from what we had 2 nights ago.
Drive the phone. Outbound 1814 traffic department division jet.
The helicopter thing makes me nervous. Just because you can adequately predict what the airplanes are doing.
Right.
That's the way they feel about the balloons, actually. We're unpredictable, they don't know what we're doing.
I got used to me being the only one in the basket.
Yeah.
At any altitude, with just the extra weight. It
It does cool fast. We were just ahead of the turn. Glad we weren't trying to inflate 5 minutes later.
Right. Should have us at least on in case I grab it.
I think so.
Flying! Exclamation point.
I think Terry has more speed than these guys. Is that your sense as well?
I mean, he's caught up with them. He was behind us to begin with, so.
We're going 060.
He does seem to be going away from us faster than the other ones are.
I feel like that too. See them all lined up here, and the 3 red and white ones. Those look different than what I'm used to seeing down there.
I would agree.
Is there an air show or something happening?
Not that I'm aware of.
You want me to fix it?
Absolutely, Make a left turn. Join left down 113. Alright, left down 305.
Range loud and clear.
Perfect.
The reason why it was on 3 was because yesterday I was using my radio when I was chasing.
Oh, okay.
And yesterday in flight, Brooke was like, "Let's change to channel 3." Okay. Troy had a screw driving all around. It was weird yesterday. Nobody expected. We launched from Memorial and we ended up landing in the southern half of the trade zone, the south of the trade zone, and the southern half of that. Troy's chase crew was out on Powers over here, kind of Ed Powers and Bradley there, and Troy was still back here. I'm going to be out on 85, so we're about 85 and I feel like it's sped up since I first pointed it out. And when you heard him, about the same use that I hear him. Strange in that it's slowed down, you know, as we approach 9,000.
But Terry was in a layer that was much faster.
Right, yeah.
Must be a shear up here somewhere.
Right there.
And you were climbing a little bit and noticed that you I think you're not necessarily cold. I think we bumped up against the shear.
Oh, yeah.
17 right, Alpha 2 ready to take. Extra 779 in Romeo, spring 1207, runway 17 right at Alpha 2, clear for takeoff. Clear for takeoff, 17 right.
As we punched through that,
You
did,
feel it?
just lifted.
Isn't that a weird sensation?
Is there a final contact?
We haven't turned direction much, but it's certainly a temperature. Okay, gauge inflated. Corey and Toucan are kind of hanging low. Isn't it amazing how a bright blue and yellow balloon will blend in?
Turn right, heading 260 and contact.
here-ish.
I don't think it's fitting probably too far for me to see.
Yeah, but I think Corey is still headed towards the northwest. We still have that 107, yeah. So in this kind of a situation, I would be paying very close attention to the airport to see if that 120 ground wind starts to change. Because if it does change, and let's say the ground wind goes 090, that changes your landing profile quite a bit. And unfortunately, Murphy's Law says it changes it right at the end,
Right when I want it.
and strands you out in the middle of nowhere with low fuel.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that Colorado Springs really teaches you. That doesn't happen everywhere else, is that sense of the wind changing an hour, hour and a half after sunrise. So for me, I have found that it really encourages me to plan for two things. One, a couple of backup plans,
Right.
but also sort of what I would call, fly in the middle of my landing
Yes.
zone, because when it changes, I don't want to be screwed at the end.
I was going to say a 360 landing option.
Absolutely. And the next thing out here is that you have a 360 landing just about anywhere you are,
right.
especially east of power.
Sure.
Just we know that some of this stuff is inaccessible, so it's
Yep.
less attractive. Then like from the safety standpoint, you land on the base. You can physically land in that open area in the base, and the gray building here is a PZ. And so they're pretty sensitive about that one.
Right.
That gray building.
We don't want pictures.
Yeah, pretty close. I actually came and flew past the tower over the golf course, over the numbers, and you can see where the old gate is.
Oh, yeah.
So it's that rectangle that I landed in.
The MP came out and was like, yeah, I'm going to need you to not have any pictures of this. I was curious what you flew over that was so sensitive.
Yeah, in that flight path, nothing. At least nothing they've ever told me about.
Right.
But like I say, with those two sensitive spots, we weren't anywhere near those, but I think their sensitivity was the fact that I was so low for so long. That was the only wind I could find.
Right.
So-
It's area some north there.
Since I was so low for so long, they assumed I was doing something nefarious.
Right. You're hearing nothing here.
That's what I found. Weeks or months ago that motivated me to go. I was getting all that kind of static.
I see.
Now, this is an interesting flight that they've got here. Interesting in two senses. One, I probably wouldn't have made that choice, but also just interesting. I mean, it's a fun flight. You get to go over the city. But for me, I wouldn't have made that choice just because I feel like that's a much harder direction to seek landings.
I feel like they're coming back.
So we're still going east. Terry looks like he's hauling, but he's probably just in the east. Right.
But he does does look like he's coming back across Marshall fairly quickly.
Yeah, it does. And I don't see a lot of north to him. I think he's off the base enough that he'll be all right, but something for us to pay attention to since
Sure.
we're smack dab in the middle of it. Yes, I think it will have a water.
Tower 2696 Charlie, runway 13 at Bravo. Take off. This is 2696 Charlie, Springs Tower, 0607, runway 2, clear for takeoff.
Oh, okay.
Clear for takeoff, runway 13 at Bravo.
So we could go from 1207 to 0607 in a pretty short period of time.
And yet,
Yeah, Terry might have a 060. Well, no. He looks more like he's still got the 120, doesn't he? So we're turning a little lefter, which is nice.
if we're going to come back that much, I'd kind of like to hold this for a little bit and get further.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that sort of the
1058 Springs Tower, wind 0607, Colorado Springs altimeter 300.
because if we can keep getting north, then coming back gets you up north of the base.
Right.
We know this field is good by Space Village. We
Yeah.
know this whatever demo area.
Tower, Skyhawk 1168, 17 right, Alpha 1 ready for takeoff. Skyhawk 1168, Victor Springs Tower, 1066, runway 9.
In the field anymore. Yeah, he's just almost hovering right above the hotel. You see him? He certainly doesn't have 7 miles. I think I told you when I went shopping for a basket, you know, they had these rings out, and I put, obviously I don't have it, but the intention was to put one here, and then 2 on each side, just hanging jackets or whatever, right? And I like the idea of putting the red line in. There's no
One.
confusion which one to
There's
grab.
one. I've been confused by it now.
Windy landing, I reached up and grabbed the wrong one, and it only cost me half a second, but
But still, yeah.
it made my life. I'm not sure that our speed and direction is as dependent on altitude as it is sort of the whim of the gods today.
It does seem variable, doesn't it?
It does.
But the general idea of climbing up here and going this way has
Mhm.
been there.
Yeah. Okay, so Brooke has dropped down. Let's see what he does. It'd be great if he had a shadow. He's been up about 45 minutes, so he He could be looking at a landing. I was even thinking maybe in the space. I have to see whether he gets some more. That's the thing I'm watching for. I think we're feeling that turbulence that they talked about. Because you're holding a constant temperature, but we're fluctuating 100 feet a minute.
Right.
And it's quickly, right? I mean, like, you could see both of us are looking at the instruments like, oh, something just happened.
Right.
Faster than we're cooling or warming, that's for sure. Do you know, do we have access south of Space Village in that open area?
It used to be that right here where this dirt road is, drive up in there.
Okay.
At one point I saw that was locked, but that's been a year ago.
Dirt road into the abandoned lot is locked?
Well, it was, but then just the other day, like the last couple of weeks, somebody going in and out of it. Didn't look particularly locked, but...
And does the gate into the house?
Okay. I mean, I have gone in there in the past, so I think it's hit or miss. But if you do go in there, you can see you can go all the way out, all the way out to the top of these bluffs. Which is what I had. It was a long time ago. So I think it was Sean Wicks, now that I think about it.
Okay. That is a long time ago. So I feel like Troy has gone north because I felt like we were closer. I don't know what he did to get north though, because we've been at the same level.
Right. Well, he actually climbs quite a bit. He was down lower earlier.
So Brook looks to be moving pretty slow. I would say a little north of west, like maybe 290-ish, maybe. Exactly, it's encouraging for us.
I feel like Troy's coming back this way.
Yeah, I think he's descending, and I can't quite tell what direction he's going. I'm hoping to see a shadow. If we were to drop down, I'll say now-ish, I don't know what the right timing is, but then in theory, there is that layer. And then if we get down to the ground and go north, we could be up there in the space village. I think we pretty careful, just to make sure that we don't get out over base.
Kind of looking at that right now, actually, starting my descent right now.
I feel like we should too. I agree. I think you're on the right track. The only hazard down below us is these power lines, and there's only one set right here.
Some of that west, it looks like.
Yeah. Look, it's consistently moving north. Sorry, don't see Troy's shadow yet. See if he's got that north yet. I do think that you're right to drop down, take that sort of west just as we pick it up, and see if we can have north on the space village. I think that's nice. Here, it comes off the space village and comes down to this old in the past, but not usually, and
but I talked to the guy who manages this stuff. My ranch hand.
is this part of it? You try talking about that camp issue.
Yes, that's the one.
He is helpful, but he's not always all that responsive. Or that responsive. You know, then and of course, probably because, you know, like he works for a living, he doesn't just sit around waiting for my text. Feeling that strong west there, isn't it?
No.
But we have turned a little bit more north.
Yes.
So.
It's beeping.
You can set those.
I know, you told me that, and I hadn't gone and looked at it yet, but I'm I just have to go online and get the manual. Because the information that came in the packet was just very basic stuff.
Yeah.
How to turn it on off and how to set the altimeter with it.
Kind of a quick start.
Yeah.
So now you've retrieved balloons on this side of the power lines.
Yep.
But what about between the Arroyo and power lines?
Yep.
Okay. Because I do see an entrance there.
Yep. There's a little land bridge.
I'm just thinking, I don't feel the west. 330. So from a fuel standpoint, if we drop down and we're sort of slow about it and we have to go all the way to the houses, do you have enough fuel to get there?
I do. I still have over 20 gallons.
Almost an hour.
Right.
So I think this is a point where Travis could probably use a little bit of advice. He'll be fine, but I think the question in his mind is, are we aiming for this field, or are we going to go on? I would agree, especially with this right turn we're experiencing.
Warmer than here, quite a bit.
Talk me through your thought process.
Well, I was going almost 10 knots. I was thinking to myself that I probably should have come down through those layers quicker, but here we are. So 10 knots. I don't think I have enough space left to get this field.
Yes. Power lines on two sides.
I'm curious. I'm not as familiar with what's available for landing over there.
Over here?
Yeah, as we approach. That's what 24, I guess.
Yeah. As we climb up, we seem to get a little bit more left. Is that just my imagination?
No, I think you were right.
Landing opportunities, obviously everything here is Banning Lewis. Yeah. Typically we see into the house is blocked.
Yep.
And so if we're going to go up past where the power lines turn and up to 24, there is depending if it's really slow, there is some shoulders on 24 that are not bad. If you see that big brown building up north there, if you're that far to the west, then you can get access from Mark Scheffel. Right. However, this sort of open space between 24 and Mark Scheffel is generally pretty difficult to access.
Right.
So again, depending on sort of if we get a left turn and how fast we're moving. Think sort of on the backside of that neighborhood or something like that. I'm going to watch and see what kind of turn Terry gets right on the ground here. I think the airport lied to us. There's no 080 down there.
Seem to be going
south?
Yeah. Pretty slow, but it's a good direction.
It is, yeah.
Let's get back to this field over here.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Power lines up in the middle. Do you see those?
Yes.
I wasn't familiar with those before. He looks like he's got a
nice
southwest.
Shot. Yeah.
So in theory, as we drop down, we should pull away from these power lines. Yep, I feel it in our face now. We should turn before we get to those, but we'll be cautious. We don't have too far to track to get back to
No.
94. He's doing almost. Because the water treatment plant is tricky, but on the other side of the plant is an open field, and I've been in there a couple of times. Remember, that's where you got the van stuck that one day?
Yep. Yep.
I think
Power lines end right there.
they look like it, and it looks like
yeah,
in the
there's a-
concrete there, it's an
oh,
end
yeah.
point. Not picking up the south. Terry's given up on it, but I do really like this direction. I mean, it's right
Yeah.
towards Travis.
Yeah.
That's an open field on the other side of the 24.
Yep.
And that's Mark Scheffel in 24 there.
Right. Yep.
And there's open space on the other side of that also.
Yep. Great.
Come over here and talk to the cows. Even north of the water treatment plant, there is a fence between us and Travis. You can see where the texture changes. But there's quite a bit of space there. I've landed in there between the fence and the road before, so if we feel like we're getting calm.
There, scared him off.
Here pretty soon is so just be aware that that first pole feel like we're getting a little bit more left, which I think is good for us, because there is, if you can see right in front of us, there's a fence that goes through that field up to the sort of the lighted sign up there.
Yes.
If we can get left of the fence, we know there's access because there's no fence on the Don't worry too much about the cows when they got all this running. I don't know about your taste, but I would advise against a splash and dash.
Yeah.
I don't think this gate's open, do you?
Not on this side.
It feels open.
Right.
Yeah. In theory, as we climb, we'll get a little bit of right, sort of headed right to the middle of that field. I don't know. Because I remember Scotty landed on the south side of 94, and it was a little tricky for him. And that same day, I'm thinking of that I landed on.
And you think that you're thinking that the field right across my shepherd?
Yeah, I do, because I think that the access point we have over here, where those two white posts are, I think gets you into either side. Because remember, not only was there a gate, but then there was a whole long stretch that didn't have a fence at all.
Pull harder and turn faster, right?
It's like pushing the elevator button again.
Right.